I'm legally insane. And today you're watching episode 1 of my brand new PS3 Game Prices Are Going Up series. I've already done a series on 69 Xbox 360 game prices going up. We're into the bonus episodes on that. And I'm currently going through my 100 Nintendo Wii game prices that are going up. Well, I figure it's time I talk about the PS3 because all three of these consoles are from the same generation. And they're all going up for the same reasons. We're talking about the games that will go up in price that have yet to go up in price, but also the games that have gone up in price and that will continue to go up in price, and I will be discussing why. And I'll be focusing on the individual game, the reasons why that individual game would go up related to the game, and not the macroeconomic reasons as to why prices are going up, such as inflation, M2 money supply. I've discussed that in previous videos for those that are new. Inflation affects prices. M2 money supply affects the reason why your rare games are going up in value. There's many factors involved as to what increases the value of a game. Supply and demand being the major factor. We're going to start off with a heavy hitter today. A game that many of you have never heard of before. Oh, and by the way, the reason I never did this series before is because the PS3 shares most of its games with the Xbox 360 library, and therefore 9 times out of 10, the games would go up in price for the exact same reason. However, in this series, I will be focusing specifically on PS3 exclusive games for that reason, or games where the PS3 version is significantly better and or rarer for whatever reason, which we will discuss when we get there. And I have one of those games for you today. That will be game number 2. First off, we're starting with a heavy hitter, a game that I think might become the first $500 game. It's going to 500 smackers. It's going to 500. I just about guarantee that. This game is called Magus, properly pronounced Magus, also commonly called Magus. This copy is CIB, of course, and it was co-developed by a newer studio called Black Tower, and they didn't have much experience at the time. This was their very first console game, and they teamed up with Axis Games to create this game. And the fact that it is Black Tower's first game really does show. I know what you're thinking. Don't turn the video off. I will explain. Some of you are laughing. If you're aware of what this game is, some of you are even laughing right now. You think that this is a sick joke. You think I'm playing a joke here. I think I'm a comedian. You're double checking my channel right now. You're clicking on the statistics to make sure that this is, in fact, a retro gaming channel and a Nintendo Switch gaming channel. I can assure you that that's exactly what this is. Magus is a shockingly rare game. Very low print run. Budget title game. Discount bin game. Literally. It was literally in the discount bins. Little bit of a late release, 2014 release. But perhaps more importantly, this is a PS3 exclusive. And it is an action RPG. Believe it or not. It's not the greatest action RPG, but it is classified as an action RPG, although it is an RPG by definition, and it does have RPG mechanics. You level up, you have a tech tree that you will skill up. There is equipment that you will equip. It just happens to do all of these things in the most bare bones basic fashion possible. So it mostly plays out as a third-person shooter. And even further than that, which is why it's kind of funny, this is known as a game that is so bad it's funny, which we will touch on further, but it plays out as a third-person shooter, and not a good one at that. As a matter of fact, the game is currently ranked, as the 4th worst PS3 game ever made in history, according to Metacritic. It's a game so bad, it's quite hilarious, and it's actually quite good. The first-person shooter mechanics play more like a bullet hell. But the funny part is, when I say it plays like a bullet hell shooter, it doesn't play like a bullet hell for you, the player. You're not the one doing the bullet hell dodging. It's the computer, the AI that you're fighting. They're the ones that are going to have to dodge those bullets. You're the one doing the spray and pray shooting. And I mean, minus the pray part. you're just shooting a million bullets a second, and there's bullets flying everywhere, and you're just mowing down the enemy. It's not an overly difficult game. It's very much beatable, and you will beat the game. You will 100% platinum this game if you so choose to beat this game. You can and you will. As a matter of fact, that's one of the charms of the game. You might be thinking, well, that game sucks. I know, I don't even want to play that game. I've heard that that's the worst game ever made, just like you said. Why would I purchase this game? Why would I even want to play it? Well, the game has a unique charm to it. That's why it's one of those very rare and very oddball and unique games that falls into the category so bad it's good. Because if you do decide to play it and you do give it a go, 9 times out of 10, the player that chooses to do so will actually beat the game. They will play the game from start to finish. Not necessarily in one sitting, but a shockingly high number of people start to play it and they just can't put the controller down. They think they're going to play it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, thinking, oh, this game's going to be so bad, I'm going to turn this off. But the game is actually just good enough, and just funny enough, and just bad enough. All of those things combined for you to not put the controller down. It's just good enough that you'll keep going. And then you'll go a little further and a little further until all of a sudden you wake up one day and you've beat the game. This is one of the most rarest and most expensive games on the entire console at present time, coming in at 100 CIB, 166.97 Canadian dollars. Let's quickly switch to USD. That is 122 USD. However, before we even discuss the chart, I want you to know that this game is rare. I have to emphasize that, because although price charting says $122 US, you might not actually be able to get it for that price. This game, there's not very many copies for sale on the market, and that will be proven by the most recent sold listing of $150 US down here. $100 down here, but what was the cost of the shipping? $150 down here. $100 down here. $175 US. I gotta take my shades off. Look at that. What was that sold listing? March 11th. So this thing doesn't sell very often. So you might be thinking, well, surely the price would come down. Well, why doesn't it sell very often? Is nobody buying it? Well, perhaps nobody's buying it, but also nobody's buying it because they can't get any copies. There's nothing available on the market. Now keep in mind, this game, you used to be able to get this game. I mentioned this game back in December 4th, 2022. It's not worth the risk for a future $500 game. Yeah, some of you think that's funny. I know at least one of you is laughing right now. Maybe two. Two of you are laughing right at this moment. You're saying, Magus going to 500? Yeah, it's going to 500. It's going to take many years, but it's going to 500. I'll tell you right now, because it's rare as hell, and I think it's funny. It's a funny game, and if you can find it for under 150 Canadian right now, you might as well buy it. You might as well. If you can get it for 100, that's a pretty good deal. You could have got this game for cheap not that long ago. In fact, yeah, on the price charting, December 2022 would have been roughly $69.95 US dollars. In fact, you could have got it for much cheaper before that. And prior to that, before the COVID boom, this was the COVID boom from roughly 2020 to the high of 2021. This game had peaked out. I mean, prior to that, nobody even knew it existed. It was a $10 game. You could have paid $10 for this. Why didn't you pay $10 for this? Did you know it was rare? Because it's always been rare, but interestingly enough, because I bought my copy back in December 2022. In fact, I will prove it right now. And I paid $62.99. That would have been free shipping, by the way. And interestingly enough, so back when I bought this, and I mentioned it in my video too, is that CIB copies were very rare, but sealed copies were not rare. The market was saturated for rare game standard with sealed copies, but I had mentioned back then that when those sealed copies eventually sell out, the prices go into the moon. And that's the thing about these rare situations where there is a lot of sealed copies on the market. It's very deceptive to the untrained eye. The untrained buyer thinks, oh, I don't have to worry about buying this game soon. I don't have to worry about the price going up. Look at all these sealed copies. That must, because there's so many sealed copies available, that must mean that the CIB copies are definitely going to come down in price. They'll be cheap forever because there's just, when these sealed copies will never sell out. But they will sell out. It's not like there's thousands and thousands of them. There just happen to be more sealed copies than CIB copies, which made this weird deception to make you think that there's more copies available than there is. I don't know, some weird psychological factor plays in when you go on and you look for a game and you see, say, 10 brand new copies, and you only see maybe 3 CIB copies. You think, oh, well, that game can't be that rare. Look at all those new sealed copies. What kind of rare game has new sealed copies? Yet they were still expensive. That's the trigger that you should have paid attention to. So people were buying those sealed copies rather than getting the CIB copy. And in many cases, they were cheaper or slightly more expensive. Why not pay an extra $10 for a brand new sealed copy for that guaranteed perfect mint condition? And then chances are a lot of those copies were also opened. I've bought sealed copies and opened them myself before. After that COVID boom peaked, it started downtrending for a while, down almost 50%, maybe 33%, let's say, down to $60 from $90 US, and started trending back up, once again crashed back down, clearly putting in signs of a bottom around that $50 level, although it was 60 down here, was the low of 60. This was close enough to 60 that you might as well round up and say a lot of support around that $55, $60 level. So heavy support coming in around that level, and off to the moon she went beyond that. So although the game isn't particularly good, you do have to understand that it is gaining a cult following, and it did not have a high print run. This was a discount game. They did not, but believe me, trust me, they knew they had a bad game. They knew the game was not good, it didn't sell good, and it had a low print one. Ain't no way they did a second print run, buddy. I'm telling you, they printed whatever they thought they could sell. The marketing team came up with a number. Developers came up with a number. They said, whatever the number was, I'll just throw something out. 20,000 copies, 15,000 copies, 20,000 copies. Throw them in the discount bin. We'll sell them. I do want to show you some of the reviews at the time as well. Here's one from an actual gamer. That poor sucker that bought the game back in 2014 probably paid whatever the full retail value was upon release. 2014. Gave it a 2 out of 10. It's remarkable how little there is to recommend to anyone, even as a curiosity. That was a common review. You can see, 32 out of 100 on Metacritic average score. User score average 4.3. It's not good. It's not. There's no redeeming values here other than being so bad it's good. Oh, here's some joke reviews. Oh, look at these. This is my first time seeing this. 10. Oh, I'm going to have to... I got to edit this guy's name out so that I don't get banned. But this is clearly a troll review. I could tell right away. January 3rd, 2025. A 10. That's hilarious. His review... It doesn't even make sense. He's not even speaking proper English. You can't... blank they'll lady that is supposed to help and I ass itches. So his ass itches, so he gave it a 10 out of 10 because the game made his ass itch. This is like Garfield. Like this is further proof that there's a cult following to this game. People love it for being bad, but it's still playable. It's a playable bad game. There's a difference between a bad game that's not playable and a bad game that is playable. Amazing game. I loved every second of it. Easy platinum. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. No real plot. Darn right, buddy. They didn't have the budget to write a plot. No real gameplay. They didn't have the budget to write a gameplay either, buddy. They had the budget to make a character that can shoot bullets of 3 different colors. Somehow, I absolutely had a great time. That's what I'm telling you, the viewer, right now, if you do want to pick this game up. This is more for the rare game hunters out there. A lot of my viewers are rare game hunters and bad game hunters, good game hunters, hidden gem game hunters. I match all of those categories myself, so I understand. Why do you think I bought the game? Next up, we have Eternal Sonata. This is a very unique, monstrously underrated RPG. And if you are a seasoned veteran Xbox 360, PS3 gamer and or collector, you already know that this is not an exclusive. This is on the the Xbox 360. Except I just lied. I lied and you had no idea. You're thinking, well, I have that game on the 360. What are you talking about? That's not an exclusive. It is an exclusive. But your untrained, under 69 IQ, retarded brain was unaware of some additional facts. This particular version came out like roughly 1 year after the 360 version. And this is the definitive version, and it is the unofficial director's cut version. Because for whatever reason, they didn't want to call it a director's cut version, and they didn't want to call it the definitive version. But it is the definitive version, and we'll get more into that later. It has additional features, and not just small minor changes. We're talking major improvements, things that make this particular version the version that you would want to own as an RPG lover or as an Eternal Sonata lover in general. So the original game was released in 2007. Pretty early release title for the 360, but then later re-released with major updates on the PS3 in 2008. Let's have a look at the chart first this time around, because I need you to understand something. Chart looks great. Trading for $27.75 USD, around $38 Canadian. Straight line up since the bottom in 2019, 2020, roughly. Oh yeah, here's the exact bottom. Oh wow. September 2019. $10 US. The exact bottom. $10 on the button. And you could have got this hidden gem. This is one of the most underrated RPGs ever made. In history. To this very day.
This is my final journey. I can never return to my world again.
Who are you? The view of Retardondo is so beautiful at night.
Is it all really just a dream? We'll need to lure the girl to us.
The time has come for everything to be settled.
Eliminate dominate them all.
It is an RPG that deserves a spot amongst the all-time greats, and it has a soundtrack that can compete with some of these greats. Now, that said, it's not as good as the all-time greats in both gameplay, story, or soundtrack. What I'm saying is that it deserves to be mentioned. Its name should be mentioned among the greats. And when I say the greats, I'm talking the top dogs. I'm talking the Final Fantasy VI for the Super Nintendo, Final Fantasy III for the Super Nintendo in North America. I'm talking Chrono Trigger. I'm talking FF7, FF9. Some people throw FF10 in there. Some people throw FF12 in there. I mean, you could throw any Final Fantasy in there except for the new ones. I don't care about those new ones. Final Fantasy 15, that was the end of Final Fantasy. What's that new game? Claire Expedition 33, if I'm saying that right? People have compared Eternal Sonata to that game because this was the original Claire Expedition. If we could draw a line, this is just a slow and steady straight riser. Nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down for those that are new. Supply and demand drives the price. Retro video games are no different than stocks. So these charts mean something. There is a value in understanding the chart and viewing a chart like this. There is value in that. And we can make future predictions based on what we see here. And a game like this goes from $10 to $37.77 Canadian today. The reason it was $10 is because it was a hidden gem. It was underrated, not known, and very much not known RPG, although a lot of people played it. It's not like it was not known, but it ain't no Final Fantasy, buddy. Nobody touched this RPG in comparison to some of the bigger names, like a Lost Odyssey, a Blue Dragon 360. This ain't nowhere near, this doesn't have the name recognition of a Blue Dragon or a Lost Odyssey or Final Fantasy or Tales game even. This don't have that recognition. So my main point is that although Eternal Sonata is not mentioned amongst the best of the best today, I think that's changing. And the chart agrees with me. The fact that the price is increasing shows you that the market agrees with me. So you might be saying, that game sucks. It's nowhere near as good as XYZ RPG, whatever your favorite RPG is. That game sucks. It'll never be able to compete with those games. Well, I think the market is saying otherwise. It's not particularly rare. It's not like you couldn't find this game on store shelves. But it was never sought after, and it's gaining a cult following, and those that did play it back in the day, they know that this is a masterpiece. They know this is a gem. And every month that passes, more and more people find out about this game, and they want to play it. They want to own it. They want a piece of this history. And one day in the future, you might hear people mention the name Eternal Sonata right up there in the same sentence as a Final Fantasy VII. I do want to show you the Xbox 360 chart as well. Now, this one had a parabolic move because people went nuts during the store closure. And by the way, there's a reason I never had this game on my original top 69 Xbox 360 game prices going up. I didn't have this on the list. I've never in my life talked about Eternal Sonata because I knew there was a better version out there. Although some people might prefer the 360 version because it's easier. We'll talk about that later. But that's the only benefit that it has. It's just easier. So if you want an easier experience, but that easiness comes with other negatives and other missing material. But more importantly, so although every time there's a parabolic move, the price comes down. You cannot sustain a parabolic move. So price came down, but if you haven't noticed, the price never goes back down to where it started. It's now bottomed out at what is now a new. This bottom is a higher high than the previous high. This is a higher low. This is now the new low. This is the bottom, roughly $20 US, $19, $20. Round up $20. This is the bottom, and it's starting to dip up even. So price went up even for this version because it's a hidden gem. Nobody knew about it. And now the market is waking up to how good it is, even for the inferior version. That's got to tell you something. Here's a random example just to show you that the popularity of this game is increasing. Here in 2025, or roughly 2024, for example, somebody made a more recent review. So this is a modern review on this game. And I mean, the title says it all. Eternal Sonata review, a masterpiece of music and JRPG storytelling. I want to tell you that the uniqueness of this game comes mainly from three things. Number one, the combat mechanics, which are both an action RPG and a turn-based RPG at the same time. But not only that, they try to mix things up. They keep it fresh on top of that, because the gameplay mechanics, the combat mechanics, are constantly evolving and ever-changing as you progress through the story. And they add in a whole bunch of other unique things, such as utilizing a light and dark system, meaning your skills that are available to you and your attacks or defensive abilities will change depending on if you're in a light area, like could be an area lit up by a torch, or it could be sunlight, for example, or if you're in a dark area, such as a shaded area during your fight. So strategically placing yourself in a dark or light area is part of the strategy involved. And the monsters are the same way. Some of the monsters will also change depending on if they are in the light or the dark. The game is also very unique through its story, which is why I would not have purchased this game in the past. It would not have sounded appealing to me, but the story is it's fiction, but it's also partly non-fiction, because the story does follow a real-life individual, a famous Polish pianist / composer named Frederick Chopin, who died of tuberculosis at a very young age of 39, but that was normal back then. 1800s, if I remember correctly. And then the third thing is just the music. The music does play a major part in this game, and there are very well done original songs, but also there are actual songs from Frederick, actual pianist songs. But here's the kicker. I'm going to leave you with a kicker. It is 2-player, actually 3-player co-op. You can play, all the combat is done through co-op. But now for the kicker, the real kicker, the kicker of the kicker. Wrong game. The kicker of the kicker. This PS3 version has exclusive content. It is the definitive version. The exclusive content includes its significant content. That's why the price is going to double and then triple from its current price. Right now, I just about guarantee it. I would bet a lot of money on it, especially with the inflation that's coming. It adds 2 brand new playable characters that are already in the game, but they were not previously playable. That's significant. It adds new cutscenes and dialogue that expand and improve the story. One of the major problems with this game is the story. As sad as that is, it's a great story, but it really lacks a lot of detail. There's just something lacking, and that's why this game, one of the reasons why it will never be one of the best all-time, the all-time greats. It will be mentioned among those. Its name can have a lot of weight to it and be remembered fondly, but it will never have the same clout as a Chrono Trigger, for example, a Final Fantasy VI. If the story was improved, sure. But anyways, they tried to improve it, and they did improve it. So it adds new story, including cutscenes. There are voice actors in this game on top of that. Don't forget, very good and famous voice actors. Adds new alternative costumes. Nobody cares about that, I will admit. It also adds new dungeons. You ever think about that? Also adds slightly better visuals. The images are a little bit sharper. Nothing major, but hey, it's something. It's something that the PS3 version has that the 360 version does not. The load times are also really good on the PS3 version. And lastly, it has an improved and extended ending, which relates to also the improvement of the story. Oh, and the last thing is, okay, this can be seen as a negative, but they did rebalance the combat and the difficulty, meaning the game translation, the game is harder now. The AI is a little bit smarter, they're more aggressive, difficulty is ramped up, but keep in mind the 360 version was extremely easy.
Take that! Sacred Strike! Phoenix Rising! Shooting Star!
You must know what's coming. Galactic Nebula!
I assure you I'm quite serious.
Ghetto Assault! Void Edge! Whirlwind! Thunderous Fall!
Don't throw this one away, okay?
I'll try to keep this next game short because I am going over time here, but this is another one that you're going to want to pay attention to. This is Vampire Reign Altered Species. And this, similar to Eternal Sonata, this is a PS3 exclusive because it is the definitive version of Vampire Reign, which is on the Xbox 360. But this, they added the title, the secondary title, Altered Species, to it to let you know that this is a different game, and they tried to market it because sales were terrible and they were getting bashed to hell on the reviews. We'll get into that. But, and one similar to Eternal Sonata, this came out about a year later. They ported it over, much to the shock of the reviewers and the gamers at the time, or at least the critics. And they made a couple of improvements, though. Nothing too major. That's one of the differences between this and Eternal Sonata. This one, they only made minor improvements, but they did fix a lot of the bugs. The original version did have a lot of bugs and glitches, and they did fix all of them. They patched things up, made a few improvements to sound, added surround sound capabilities, things like that. I had heard previously that they changed the difficulty, but I think that was a rumor because I've not been able to verify that. If somebody has verified that they did lower the difficulty, and even if they did, it's not very noticeable. So even if the rumors are true, it's not noticeable. You know, it's nothing significant. Because the reason why this game got such bad reviews is because of its difficulty factor. But here's what I'm telling you that the market didn't get at the time. It's not as difficult as the YouTubers and the critics thought it was at the time because they didn't understand how to play the game back then. This is not a Resident Evil, let's go in and blow up vampires type of game. That's what the market expected, and that's what the market wanted this game to be. This is a stealth game. This is a Splinter Cell, Metal Gear Solid style stealth game. In fact, it's often called the poor man's Splinter Cell with vampires, or the budget Splinter Cell. This game is also quite rare, believe it or not, the PS3 version in particular. You have to understand that because this game came out a year later, they had already received all of the harsh criticism and terrible reviews. So I highly doubt the print run was high, buddy. They went into this looking to scrounge up as many sales as they could get, and they knew it wasn't going to be a lot. You know, they tried to salvage the game by changing it, you know, making it very obvious this is not the same game, meaning the print run wasn't very high, buddy. This is much rarer than the 360 version, and the price is significantly higher. It's had its Wave 1 move, just like most games did. They bottomed in 2019, games of this generation. And it hit its high of about $35 US, currently trading at about $28.56 USD, which is $38.88 Canadian, $40. Sold listings going as high as $55. A lot of 50s, 40s, and 50s. Fair to say about $40. Ooh, with a poster. Whoa, what's going on here? I didn't know this had a poster. Learning something new together here, guys. Okay, here it is. Here's one with the poster. $30 US at the time, like new condition. Hey, frig, that's not bad, dude. Okay, so if you have the poster, it's going to increase the value. I learned something new. I was unaware of that because I have 2 copies. I got to check the other one, see if I have a poster, but I don't think I have a poster. That's incredible. So they threw that in as a desperate attempt to try to get those sales, like I was telling you. They got to throw in something, buddy. They were really desperate. So Chart hasn't done much since it's peaked out. We've just been stuck in a trading range, but as you can see, it's not a cheap game. It's not going back down to $11.88 in your entire lifetime. It will never go back down to that price unless they re-release the game, and I highly doubt they're going to re-release this game, buddy. I want to point out the Xbox 360 version, which is also trending higher, much cheaper, $13.61 Canadian. Much slower trend, but it is a very slow and steady riser. Had its wave 1 move a little bit late, mind you. That shows you how dead and unknown this game was and how nobody wanted this one. It didn't even get a 2019-2020 move. Didn't get a move until the end of 2021. But it's been steadily rising since. It's in a trading range right now, but I bet you the trend will continue to creep higher until it hits at least $20, $25. This version is also significantly more common, I do believe. So reviews at the time of release from the critics were very poor. We're talking 5 out of 10 on the high end. Edge Gamer, by some miracle, gave it a 5 out of 10. And by the time the PS3 version came out, it was getting 2 out of 10. Game Daily, 2 out of 10. GameSpot, 3.5 out of 10. Game Zone 2.5 out of 10, which is even lower than the original 4 out of 10 they gave the 360 version. 3 out of 10 from IGN. They gave it a 0.1 increase from the 2.9 on the 360. That is absolutely horrific. 1.5 out of 10 from 411 Mania. So I want you to understand, the reason I'm bringing up the reviews is because this would have affected the sales. You know, this is a snapshot in time, a snapshot back in history around 2008, 2009 time period. This is what the market thought back then and what the critics said back then. But we are now in 2025. People think differently now. People have gone back searching for hidden gems. They bashed the game at the time due to its difficulty. It's a stealth game. You are given a gun. You think, if you had bought this game back in the day and played it as a YouTuber 17 years ago, you would have thought you go in and shoot the vampires. You stealth around, but when the vampire sees you, you just kill him. You shoot him with the gun. That's not how you play the game. As soon as the vampire sees you, you're dead. It's going to take 1,000 bullets to kill the friggin' vampire. And even if you do kill the vampire, now you don't have any bullets left. Right? So the game, I'm not exaggerating. If a vampire sees you and they can see you from miles away, you are as good as dead. The regular enemies in the game are more difficult than the bosses. You're dead. The game doesn't want you to play like that. It's deceptive because they give you the gun. It's very deceptive. The game is meant to be played as a stealth game where you don't kill nothing. You are hiding in the shadows, and when you do kill something, it's ideally from a distance, or it's you can still sneak up and kill enemies. And the later you get into the game, the more weapons that you do get. So there's more action incorporated into the game the further you get, but in the beginning especially, you are not fighting anything. That's how you're meant to play the game, and that was the mistake that people made, including YouTubers. And times are changing. This is becoming a cult classic. It has a cult following. It's not for everyone. It's still difficult. You're going to die, but there's checkpoints, and they are generous with the checkpoints. Considering people like playing Dark Souls and they like dying and everyone's a masochist nowadays, you'd think people would stop complaining about Vampire Reign, and guess what? They are stopping. But even back then, people still played it back in the day, and they enjoyed it back in the day. The ones that figured out how to play the game, they're the ones that gave it positive reviews back then. So the critics all gave it, 1.5s out of 10, but the gamers said otherwise, the ones that gave it a shot. So here's reviews from real gamers back in the day. I'm not going to read the reviews. I just want you to see the mixture. 7 out of 10, pretty solid. This guy gave it 3 out of 10. And I'll throw in the 360 versions as well. This is showing both. I mean, it's close enough that it's the same game. But you get an 8 out of 10 and a 9 out of 10, couple of 7s, and then a couple of 2s and 4s and 5s. So pretty mixed. This guy here gave it an 8 out of 10, 2014, and I like what he says here. It's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. They just do not know how to have fun with this game. Here's somebody from 11 years ago kind of bashing the critics. He says, I just don't see what all the crybaby BS is about. I mean, I can understand some random frustration, but not a consistent lack of being able to figure stuff out in this game. It's not that complicated. This is what he's telling you. If one path doesn't work out, you keep your eyes open for another path. Believe me, there is always a safe path. So if you're having trouble, you're going the wrong way. I've only had trouble on the map really early on, but I'm guessing that was just because I was new to the game and not understanding what the developers were going for. Ever since that map, it's just been simple trial and error process. Yes, it sucks you can't always kill the vampires. But as it is, there are levels, so there are some levels that do allow you to devastate your enemies. So this shouldn't be complained about too much. Now, those are the later levels. Most of the reviewers never got that far. There are positive reviews coming, more modern reviews. Here's a 14,000 view YouTube channel, and it's a small channel, and he got a lot of views, a lot of positive comments as well. This is a modern gamer now showing you that the tides have turned. Not everyone is bashing this game anymore. Is Vampire Reign really that bad? No, it is not. That's basically what he says. I summed up the whole review for you. People in the comments agree. Here's a review from just 1 month ago, and I did watch some of it. I didn't watch all of it. It's an hour long. 1 month ago, very large channel, 133,000 views, and basically he's also saying that, hey, this game's not that bad. Worst stealth game ever, ? And from what I gathered, he sums that up and says, no, it really ain't that bad. There's positive qualities here. It's just not for everyone, right? You got to understand it's a hard game. Do you like Splinter Cell and do you want a challenge? But it's beatable. You just need to use your brain and play it like the way it was designed to be played. You're not going in guns blazing, buddy. So this just shows you that the market is shifting. That's what I'm pointing out here. The tide is changing. People's opinions are changing. Whereas back in the day, look at all these. Let's find some of the old reviews. Back in the day, I mean, here's some older reviews. This is the worst game ever 11 years ago. Do not buy Vampire Reign 17 years ago. Do not buy this game. Screaming about how bad it was. Everyone and their mother was screaming about how bad this game is. The worst Xbox 360 game, Vampire Reign from 9 years ago. The worst game ever. 572,000 views. From a YouTuber that has 3.85 million subscribers. Do you think this might have swayed the market? Do you think this might have contributed to these low prices from that many years ago? Do you think that might have contributed to why this game was trading for $5 on the 360 and the very rare and sought after cult classic, the Vampire Reign Altered Species PS3 copy was only $10? Do you think this guy from, 9 years ago review? 9 years ago, do you think he might have had a sway on how the market thought about this game? Remember I told you at the beginning, I'm going to tell you why the price is going up and why it will continue to go up. Well, opinion on this game has changed, and the critics may have gotten the harsh reviews wrong. The market is telling you that the critics were wrong. This is a game that you're going to wake up one day and it's going to be $100.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
It just might be $150. It ticks a lot of the check marks here, buddy. It's a stealth game. It's arguably a horror game. It kind of fits the mold of a horror game with this vampires running around that can kill you in a matter of seconds. You know, it's a little bit scary, on edge, unique, hidden gem, underrated, unknown, completely ignored. It checks all the boxes for a game that could go to $100 and or will go to $100 over time. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a comment below. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Please go ahead and provide me with constructive feedback. Was the video too long, too short? I don't know how long I was ranting about Eternal Sonata specifically, or any of these games really. But yeah, constructive feedback, I do highly appreciate that. And also consider joining the Patreon. Shout out to all my Patreon supporters. Thank you very much. It means a lot. I do post exclusive content for the Patreon supporters. Your support, everyone who subscribes to the channel, everyone who leaves a comment, even the haters, they help the channel too, because the YouTube algorithm likes engagement. So even the haters, you know, they're helping the channel out. They unknowingly are helping the channel out. But yeah, I do appreciate all the support, subscribers and the comments and the Patreon supporters. Your support keeps this channel going. I am not exaggerating. And guys, please, I'm telling you right now, check out all 3 of these games. And if you are an RPG lover, I'm telling you, you're going to want to pick this game up. The price ain't getting any cheaper.